All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Big Go Belt Wrestling Podcast. Two Chains here, along with Jamal, the Giant Crab. And Jamal, I just wanted to say before we get started, I finally put together why they call you the Giant Crab.
Oh dear.
Because you're so negative about everything. And you ever heard the old terms of like you're acting crabby? That's the epitome of you. Negative Nancy.
I'm going to take that as a compliment and say that you're welcome. And I'm going to suggest that we just move forward.
Today we got a special guest from the co-founder of Nova Pro, the great Mike, the VA gent. What's going on, Mike?
Happy to be here, guys. What's going on with y'all?
Nothing much. Again, I've already stressed a couple of times. Definitely congratulations recently on your wedding. Hope it was one of your best days of your life.
Oh yeah, man, definitely, for sure. Just a little pro tip to everybody: don't run a wrestling show 2 days before your wedding. You will not be more stressed in your life. So just don't do it. It sounds like a good idea, but don't do it.
So how was the bourbon after the wedding? Because I know it was much well needed then.
Oh, it was definitely flowing a little bit.
Good to hear, buddy. So you already know, ladies and gentlemen, if we have Mike on the show, that must means that we are getting ready to preview another Nova Pro Wrestling event, which this Friday, May 10th, at the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department, we have the Great Expectations, and doors open up at 7:30, Belltime at 8 o'clock. So we're back at it again. This is the second show for 2017. 2016, can't stress enough how great it was. I hope everybody now, especially in the DMV area, which is no excuse, is well accustomed to Nova Pro. You've heard of it, and now there's really no excuse for you to be here. Come the your second year, and everything jumped off pretty good the first show. And we're with the second show now. Now, again, Great Expectations with a well-fitting name here.
Yeah, man, it's a huge card, and honestly, like I've said it a bunch of times on Twitter and stuff. Every match on this card is must see. Every match on this card, first time ever, and every match on this card is like uniquely Nova Pro. These are like, you look up and down this card, these are matches that you're not going to see at many other independent promotions. These are matches you're only going to see here at Nova Pro. And obviously we have great expectations for this Friday night in Annandale.
You know, anytime you're brought up in a conversation when it comes to Nova Pro, everybody always likes to allude to how you come up with really unique names for your shows. So Great Expectations, where's this one coming from?
This one is so my favorite band and a couple of people like behind Nova Pro, his favorite band is the Gaslight Anthem, and their second album is called The 59 Sound. The very first track on that album is called Great Expectations. And it kind of like, because like their first album was like really successful and kind of like critically acclaimed and stuff. So they wanted to like, and they had like a lot of hype going into their second album. And that's kind of like how we feel on the staff and stuff is, the first year, a lot of hype coming out of it. So this year, there's a little bit of a higher standard coming from, the fans, the critics and stuff like that. So there's a lot of great expectations for us this year.
Sounds good.
So it has nothing to do with Charles Dickens and an orphan named Pip.
It has nothing to do with Charles Dickens. There's actually a Twitter bot that keeps every time we tweet hashtag Great Expectations, they keep tweeting us like random quotes from that book. So
and like you said, this is your second year, so 2017. I guess the most and clearly obvious question to ask here is, with a tremendous turnout for the first show, and which was at the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department, which a huge crowd. What are we looking forward to overall in 2017 from Nova Pro?
I think we're looking for a lot of the same, but a lot of things we did last year we're very proud of. But there, with anything and any startup like business in general, there's always things to improve on, and a lot of those things I think is, this year, I definitely want to give a little bit more, showcasing the women a little bit more in Nova Pro. You saw last month we kind of did something a little different where we had two matches that featured women on the show. And I think this month, with the bonus matches that we'll get into later that are going to happen on Friday night, you're going to see another night with two matches, with women's matches on the show. And, there's talks of, possibly doing a full women's card at some point this year. So that's one thing we definitely want to showcase. Another thing we want to do is, bring new and different talent to Nova Pro. Last show, you saw the debuts of Priscilla Kelly, Slade Porter, Half Mercy, Percy Davis, Fred Yehai. And you should continue to expect that from Nova Pro in the future, just to see the new, bright up-and-coming stars from Nova, from just around the independent scene coming to Nova and kind of, making it a home away from home for them. Because, for instance, Alex Daniels from AIW is going to be making his debut this Friday. Dominic Guarini, who has made his name in MMA and just, turned to professional wrestling last year, is making his debut this Friday. We really want to be a place that kind of showcases the younger talent on the indie scene.
Yeah, I would have to say that if I can add a name as a fan to that list, Limitless Keith Lee. He's been in Evolve. He's based out of Texas, but he's been around. I saw him in Beyond Wrestling last year up in Rhode Island. The dude is phenomenal. I mean, he's about as big as Mark Henry, but he moves like Donovan Dijak, and I think that's amazing. So, mad shout out to Keith Lee. My question, go ahead.
Just real quick on Keith Lee. It's funny you bring him up because I actually have been talking with him in the past few weeks. So it is very possible that you'll see him in a Nova Pro ring this year.
I mean, the dude's amazing. I've only recently discovered him, and I'm a fan. I'm an instant fan. But my question is, so you're in the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department, which is 7128 Columbia Pike in downtown Annandale, Virginia. Massive crowd. Was that better than you expected for your return, or compared to the JCC, which definitely has a smaller or seemingly a smaller seating capacity? How does that affect where you'll run buildings next?
Actually, it's kind of funny because the JCC can hold a lot more people. So the number, it's just that it's a smaller space that the number of people that were at the last show is comparable to what we usually do at the JCC. So it's just a more compact space. Somebody, a fan on Twitter, kind of compared it to the building PWG runs in Reseda, where it's just kind of let's just fit 300 people in here as tight as possible and just have a fun show. I really liked the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department for our first show this year, and I really like we can call that kind of our second home in a way. The JCC will always kind of just be, the Nova Pro home base in a way, but I really like the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department as a second home for kind of different shows going on there. The bigger shows on our calendar will always be at the JCC, like Nova Project, Commonwealth Cup coming up next month, the Black Friday event, all those kind of things, like I said, because we can hold a lot more people in the JCC, and it is just, it's where we had our first show. It's our home base. But the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department treats us well, and I really like how loud the crowd can get in there. I really like how everybody's just really packed in together and having a great time watching wrestling. So I don't have plans to not run shows there for a while. So
yeah, and also as a fan, they have a full kitchen, so that is definitely something of interest. And it's in the location's a lot better too. It's in downtown Annandale. You can certainly walk across the street from fine dining and then go see the show, or the opposite, go see the show and stay late at a bar. It's just a good time all the way around. So this week, Friday, you have the Great Expectations, not related to Dickens, I guess, and you have Rachel Ellerlin versus Veda Scott, first time ever. Did you guys know that was their first time ever matchup, or how did that come about?
I didn't know. Well, I didn't know they had never wrestled before, but Veda Scott was actually the person that requested the match when she found out they were going to both be on the same card, because it's kind of interesting in indie wrestling with women's wrestlers that a lot of the top women wrestlers kind of wrestle each other a lot. You know, before
Right.
they were signed by WWE, Kimberly and Heidi Lovelace were wrestling each other seemingly every weekend. And for like instance, when Veda Scott and Kimberly had a match here, I think Veda even told me then that that's probably their like 100th or 150th match together. So it's really interesting that two of the top women's wrestlers in the country have never wrestled each other. It's really kind of rare to find that.
Yeah.
So, and you know, I'm all about first time evers, and I love Veda Scott. I love Rachel Ellering. I'm really excited for that match. I think it has the possibility of being the best women's match we've ever put on here.
I have to say that when I first seen it was advertised as first ever, I was like, no way. So I actually did go look, and I was like, it's Ashley. They've never wrestled each other. So when when we came upon our discussion of the match we wanted to sponsor for this card, it was almost a no brainer for us. We was just like, that's the one. Long term time fans of Veda Scott. Rich Ellering is definitely legit in the ring. So it was just absolutely a no-brainer. And I also like to accredit Nova Pro for like really being the home of matches that you really didn't even realize you wanted to see until it's booked. Because we've seen them both on cards, but we never thought of the fact of what happens if those two actually got in the ring together and then it happens. So that's definitely one of my biggest like infatuations with Nova Pro. And also what you said a minute ago too. The pack really tight crowds of just everybody loving the same thing. It's the intimate feeling that makes me love indie wrestling and just wrestling, period. So, again, if you're still now on the Nova Pro bandwagon, this is just small of the many reasons of why you need to be there.
Yeah. So, it's always a great time at Nova Pro. Now, the PWI Ultra J Championship is a title that's defended at times in Nova Pro. It's been defended a couple times. I know they have other belts for Pro Wrestling International. Will we see some of those titles come to Nova Pro?
It's kind of funny with the Ultra J title because in a way the Ultra J title is kind of, we don't have our own championship as of now. So in a way the Ultra J title is almost recognized as the Nova Pro like top championship.
Yeah.
There has been talks. Currently, the PWI International Heavyweight Champion is ECW legend C.W. Anderson. He won that belt
still doing
back in December. And there's been talks of having him come in to a Nova Pro ring and defend the title, which I'm open to. The man can still go. The man is still great. So I'm fine with that. The PWI tag team titles are mainly defended in Europe. So it is very rare to have them come out to the United States, but I'm not opposed to that either. And the women's title that the PWI recognizes is the Queens of Combat title that's currently held by Sue Young. And Sue Young has been heavily requested by the fans. And I wouldn't see, like I said earlier, there's been talks about doing a women's show at some point. There's also been talks about doing, more women's matches on the shows. I don't see why somebody like Veda Scott or, even Brittany Blake or somebody that's really kind of stepped up in the Nova Pro women's division couldn't get a shot at that title at some point. So there's definitely talks about having more PWI titles being represented on Nova Pro cards.
Yeah, it always makes a match extra special when it is for a big gold belt in any capacity.
Well done.
So we know that based on what happened last month, and it doesn't feel like a month, but Cutie and the Beast definitely needs to exact some revenge on the Carnies. It was borderline a hate crime. I mean, let's just call it what it is. But and of course, you can always go back and watch the videos later on smartmarkvideo.com on demand in case you missed anything. But we need some retribution. We need some comeuppance. Will that happen? If not this Friday, but in the near future.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to, with y'all being the new sponsors this month, I wanted to give y'all a little something special. So I'm going to add a match to Great Expectations right here. on the Big Gold Belt podcast. It will be
Wow.
Cutie and the Beast of Bo Crockett and Innocent Isaiah against the Carnies of Kerry Awful and Nick Iggy. Grudge match with Trip Cassidy and Priscilla Kelly banned from the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department.
Wow, that's big. That is big. And if you were there last month, you know why that is big. And if you weren't, shame on you. Go watch the video. But that is big. That is really big. So yeah, wow, Cutie and the Beast versus the Carnies this Friday night at Nova Pro Wrestling and down in Annandale at the Volunteer Fire Department. That's going to have to be. That's an amazing matchup right there.
I'm getting my Twitter.
The matchup we needed.
I'm getting my Twitter fingers ready for that that right there. So go to if you see me looking down, that's what it is.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself.
We saw it a few months ago back in Springfield at Saturdays of Thunder. Kerry and Iggy were the first team to beat Cutie and the Beast in almost a year. So, when they can wrestle, they can get it done in the ring. They're great professional wrestlers. It's just when they kind of stray away from that, kind of like use, that cheat to eat kind of philosophy that Money Green and some other people have, that it gets kind of messy with them.
Yeah, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. I understand that. Eric Royal, who will never lose as far as I'm concerned, versus Ricky Shane Page is a match that could absolutely steal the show, much in the way that Dijak and Sanjay Dutt, as far as I'm concerned, stole the show last month. How did that matchup come about? Because I believe this is Ricky's first time in Nova Pro.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because last year with the streak, it kind of like when we were booking guys like Dijak for the first time, or with like David Starr and Hot Sauce Tracy Williams for the first time to face Eric, it was like more like, let's test this guy, let's test our undefeated guy. But now we're kind of at the point where people are coming up to me and are like, I want to be the one that beats Eric Royal. I want to try to beat the ace of the Mid-Atlantic in Nova Pro Wrestling. That's kind of a thing that happened here with Ricky Shane Page. And it's also what happened with Freddie Ahai last month. These are up and coming indie names, and Ricky Shane Page, I honestly think is probably the most like diverse challenge that we've put in front of Eric in a way. If you've seen him wrestle, he's a man that can get it done in the ring. He throws elbows with the best of them, but he's a former Tournament of Death winner. He's a man that has no problem being thrown into glass and thumbtacks and barbed wire. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know anyways, Eric Royal's never really dealt with light tubes or barbed wire or fire or anything like that. So how, Ricky Shane Page is as tough as they come, and I'm really excited for these two guys to slug it out this Friday night. Yeah, no,
it's going to be hard hitting. It's going to be real heavy. If you've seen Eric Royal work before, this guy, he can fly, he can knock it out, knock down, drag out slugfest, and Ricky Shane Page certainly ain't no slouch either.
My favorite thing about last month actually was when Eric did the Hurricanrana on Freddie Ahai. I watched about like 10 people with their jaws open because they didn't see that coming from him.
So I was in like towards the back of the building, taking pictures, and I couldn't get my camera fast enough because I didn't believe what I saw / didn't know what I was actually seeing to process it, to know to take pictures of it. It actually came out of nowhere. And Eric Royal was like 6'4", 260. I mean, he's a big dude. And yeah, that's all the more reason. I think I tweeted you guys earlier this week. Keith Lee versus Eric Royal needs to happen. Thank me later. Just saying.
It's possible. It could happen.
Oh, no, sure. It is possible. As a fan, get it done. Mm-hmm. But Nova Pro Wrestling, we're talking with Mike from Nova Pro, the co-creator of Northern Virginia Pro Wrestling, March 10th, which is this Friday night. Are tickets still available?
Tickets are still available. There's very little front row available. I think like less than 15 at this point. I would go ahead and snatch those up now if you want to be close to the action. General admission is always available at the door for $20. So, if you want to wait to pay in cash, GA, if you want to try to get a seat in the back, or if you want to secure your seat now, that's probably the best way to do it. You want to secure your seat now, go to NovaProWrestling.tumblr.com.
And make no mistake about it, even the crowd definitely, it wasn't standing room only, but nearly every seat was filled, and that is not hyperbole last month. Though it may not have been the same crowd as JCC, but the Annandale Firehouse, it was slim pickings for general admissions if you didn't get the seat that you wanted. So get there early and get a ticket, or do it now. Actually, do it right now and grab a ticket from novaprowrestling.tumblr.com.
Hey, Mike, I was talking to Jamal last week, and I told him I was feeling a little itchy to do something really special. So I didn't quite figure out how I wanted to do it, but maybe I'll bring this into you. But, well, how about we set up a contest or something? And whoever that one person is that wins this contest, however we set it up, the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast will pay for that person's admittance to Great Expectations this Friday.
Ooh,
that's insane.
That's big. We can do that. What do you guys have in mind? What's the contest? What are we doing?
I haven't set it up. I figure I would let the brains think of something creative to do it, but I know I want to get people involved. That's always been my mission since I've been. I was glued my first show, and I knew I was going to return every other show afterwards. And I feel like there are still people out there that love wrestling, that love these big name talent that's coming to the show, but just scared to spend that $20 to $25 and that quick drive around the Beltway to come to the show. So now I'm giving people another reason and another way to not be scared to go, and that is to make sure to give one person the chance to win their ticket to come to the show this Friday.
Jeez, I love it. Let's do it.
I'll make sure I come up with something. You tweet it out, make up a little contest where, unless you got something that comes to mind right away. But totally on the Big Gold, on the Big Gold Belts podcast wallets, we will get one person in there with us for sure, and I'll pay for their ticket. So let's make that happen. I got a quick question too. We have Trevor Lee, who's going to be making their debut this Friday. A lot has been going on with TNA, which is no longer known as TNA, but now just only known as Impact Wrestling. So there's been a lot of changes within management and their creative team and so forth. So I wanted to know, with all that's happening up there with the change of management and going on, has that either opened or has it closed opportunities in order to work with other future talent that works with that promotion?
That's a great question. I will say this. Because of the recent series of releases and stuff, I can't give too much information right now, but a certain TNA superstar that was on a Nova Pro event last year has signed on to make a couple of appearances later in the year.
Wow. The subliminals that he's dropping people. You don't understand how serious this is.
And then I will say, it kind of made it more with I discussed the last time I was here, we lost Moose because of a TNA contract. I think just the way their management works now and stuff like that, it's kind of easier to book these guys. I do know before, when I would try to book Trevor Lee, I would have to go through a TNA agent or somebody in the office and kind of work out a rate with them, which kind of made it more complicated and stuff. But, this time around, booking Trevor Lee for the first time, it made it a lot easier because I just had to go through him. I just had to talk to him about it and stuff like that. So that in that aspect has made it easier. And I will say it's probably for the best because, these guys, we all read what's going on down there, and these guys need to capitalize on their popularity and stuff, and need to take every booking they can get if TNA isn't paying them a fair salary. So
yeah. And I guess my final question, when you talk about indie wrestling, a lot of promotions over the country come to mind when you talk about PWG, AAW, AIW, Glory Pro. What is Nova Pro going to do to make sure that their name is solidified in that group come 2017?
I think a thing that's kind of been happening over the past couple of shows is that we're kind of becoming a little bit of a bigger name on Twitter and stuff. I mean,
no, I agree.
That guy Joe K, who who tweets out all the gifs of indie wrestling, has started gifting our shows, and I kind of fainted a little bit because that's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
But you know, I think I think you can put our shows up against most of the country shows. I think we're definitely a place to be reckoned with, and definitely a place to kind of like, that's not only, you know, like I've always said, it's not only a place where you're going to see some of the best wrestlers in the world, but it's also a place where you're going to see people, you know, who are going to fill those spots, people who you didn't realize could be your favorite wrestler. I mean, a lot of people come to our show, or they're going to be coming to our show for the first time on Friday, are coming to see, you know, Trevor Lee and Ricky Shane Page and Rachel Ellering and people like that. But, you know, they might walk out with a Cutie and the Beast shirt, or they might walk out talking about how much of a douchebag Logan is and stuff like that. And
honestly,
that's what we're here for.
Kind of my favorite.
No, mine's too. But you know, Mike is exactly right. Nova Pro is the place where you may not have known that person when you went in, but when you're walking out, you're talking about them. You're looking for their Twitter handle, aka Logan, who still doesn't have a Twitter page.
His butlers have Twitter for him. He doesn't need to be on it with the plebs.
Oh man,
he's too important for that.
That's all the more reasons why, like, you know, you have to love Nova Pro. Again, like, you go in there, you may not know certain wrestlers, certain talent, but you're definitely going to walk out talking about them. You're going to be talking about the show, and you're going to be trying to map out how you're going to get to the next show. So, and Jamal, did you have any last questions?
I just not a question, but I just want to say that if you missed the swerve, and that was probably one of the best swerves.
Yeah.
Not hyperbole. One of the best swerves I've seen in wrestling since NWO days, where it was Logan Easton LaRoe and Chet Sterling. My God, what a swerve that was from the last show last month. Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And even though I may not agree with a lot of his antics, you got to give the devil his due, and the crowd did. And that's one of the great things about wrestling. The big boys are coming to town this weekend, and they're putting on a house show down the road in Fairfax. But it's quality over quantity, and quality is at the Annandale Fire Department. And this coming Friday night, it's no question about it. It's going to be a great time. My last question, though, when we had you back on, I want to say in November, you said that your first show would be in March. And you surprised us with the show in February.
Agreed.
Is this new schedule going to be a thing? Or was this just like, well, global warming says it's going to be 70 degrees in February, so let's put on a show?
I think it's just one of those things with the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department where we wanted to like lock up a bunch of dates at a time, but we had dates already in place with the JCC. So we kind of added the February date. But it kind of worked. It kind of also worked out because, like Donovan Dijak was available, and Jordan Grace was available, and Veda Scott was available. So, and then, you know, our normal crew was also available, and so we were like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just run February, you know, President's Day weekend. People, you know, get off work early and come on down to see the show. And I think that's going to be the thing. Every year now is that like February, probably around President's Day weekend, or just a 3-day weekend between Black Friday. That's going to be like the new, like the season, if you will, for Nova Pro.
Right. I like it. I mean, other companies also have seasons, and I think that that's a good thing that you kind of know what you're getting instead of, you know, you can fit it in and set your schedules accordingly. You know that once a month it's Nova Pro time, and honestly, who wants to come out in 20-degree weather? I mean, no one does.
I also think it kind of helped with the crowd too, because like just having that break between Black Friday and February, it kind of like it made y'all miss us a little bit more. You know what I mean? And so
absolutely.
That's why, you know, they came in numbers last month. So
yeah. We can't miss you if you won't go away. So that was a good enough of an off season, so to speak, before the new show started up.
The last time we had you on the show, we got to pluck your brains a little bit, and you gave us also another little exclusive hint. So I wonder if we can just do it one more time and maybe drop a hint of somebody else. I know you alluded to somebody else on TNA's roster.
You can't be greedy. He said that Cutie and the Beast and the Carnies are going to happen.
I'm not going to No, not for the car. Not for the car.
Greedy.
I just want to know who else is on the radar for this year's for one of these shows for this year.
He's dropping subliminals.
Look, if I'm gonna talk Nova
Mike.
Pro, I'm gonna shoot it all the way up, okay?
Mike, he's biting the hand. I apologize in advance. He's dropping subliminals right now. You don't understand how serious this is coming up this summer. There are things like check your calendars. Go back into your memory. Understand what he's talking about because he's definitely dropping subliminals right now. And 2 Chainz biting the hand. I can't be a part of this. Okay. Mike, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll
give you this, man. The Commonwealth Cup next month, 12-person tournament.
Can't wait.
One-night tournament. We've announced this week that there's going to be 2 qualifying matches on Friday. Alex Daniels versus Ryo, and then, of course, the 6-person scramble qualifying match. The 10 other spots have been filled. Two of those spots that haven't been announced yet, we've announced Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, Eric Royal, Sanjay Dutt, Logan Easton LaRoe, Donovan Dijak, all being a part of the tournament. 2 of the 5 spots that are locked up that have not been revealed yet are going to people that are returning to Nova Pro Wrestling after being away for a while. So I'll give you that much.
Okay. I can get with that.
Do you know what would spice it up a bit? I'm just saying, if we could add a little bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of paprika to this. We have an intergender tournament. Just saying, as a fan, y'all let you do what you will with that.
Oh man, but too many people yelled at me when we did that mixed tag last month. We can't do a new gender for a while.
Really?
Yeah, it was a big. People were not happy.
Wow.
But you know what?
I'm all in.
And I won't even take your credit for this. But when you spoke to Veda, I forget what show it was. I think it was the Black Friday show. But that's kind of been her bread and butter in her career. And I know she said she was looking forward to being able to get in another intergender type of match. So I almost really could have signed in blood that I knew we was going to see her again in another match in Nova Pro, but doesn't sound like it. And that's
to be fair, you got to know your audience, and that's what Nova Pro is good at doing. They're giving us the matches that we want to see, even if we don't know what we want to see them yet. I know what I like, and it may not be different. It may not be what the guy next to me likes, but I think at the end of the day, everyone goes home happy, and that's a tough thing to achieve when you have 100, 150, 200 collectively smiling faces going, "Oh my God, that was awesome."
Yeah, it's all. It's like what the old wrestlers always say is that you put all your problems away because you let the people come in, they spend their $20 and they forget about like their late car payment or whatever's going on at home for 2-3 hours, and they have fun at a wrestling show, and that's what we try to do. So
that's a good mission statement, if I must say, for sure.
Yeah. That bell was my last question. If as a promoter and as a fan of wrestling in general, you can play both sides of the internet wrestling community. Do you feel that the internet wrestling community as a whole is a bit too reactive to the business, and is that a product of the business's success?
I think it is a bit too reactive about the business, especially when it comes to like. I honestly think people are too hard on WWE a lot of the time. People tend to like. I retweeted something earlier today, and I strongly believe it. The same people that are pissed that they don't put over young talent because Goldberg beat Kevin Owens on Sunday are the same people that think Undertaker should beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And
this is true.
And it doesn't make sense. And like y'all, it's really weird because they don't like to let things play out. Like there were a lot of people saying that like Goldberg was being hotshot the title, like the Goldberg Lesnar program didn't start in October and Vince didn't have a vision to have it end at WrestleMania. People kind of jump to conclusions a lot, and like they don't like to let the whole story play out, and that's a big problem on wrestling Twitter, I think. But I think you're right. I think it does like speak to the success of the business that there are so many people with so many strong opinions whether they're right or wrong about this thing, and that's kind of amazing in a way.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, that bit of Goldberg has wrestled a total of 5 actual minutes from bell to bell since he was in Survivor Series, and now he's a month away from having a title match in WrestleMania. So I think that it's more reflective of not necessarily Goldberg as a person, or Roman Reigns as a person, or even Lesnar as a person, just the management in general, where you do have so much great talent, a full roster of NXT talent, and then this is what we get, a 15-year-old match that nobody wants to see a second time.
Yeah, but you gotta look at it like I kind of think of it in a different way, because I kind of, I look at like ways that we can try to make money as Nova Pro, and like it kind of goes with like our formula almost, like bringing in the big name indie talent because that's going to get you in the door. That's kind of the same thing. Like there are probably going to be hundreds of thousands of people that grew up watching Goldberg but stopped watching wrestling for one reason or another, and then saw that he's going to be at WrestleMania, and then decide, I'm going to spend the $9.99 on the network to watch him wrestle at WrestleMania or something like that. And then maybe while they're watching WrestleMania, they're like, oh shit, Sami Zayn is a really great wrestler, or I really dig the New Day or something like that. And then they're watching Raw every week. So it's kind of, I get the idea behind it. I don't think the match is going to be good by any means, but I get like why it's happening,
Yeah.
Right.
I can say one thing though, wrestling Twitter has definitely been very kind to Nova Pro, because the buzz is all over from California all the way back over to Maryland. I'm seeing people that's wishing they can get out here. I'm seeing people that's retweeting pictures. All our fans are friends. Everybody's interacting, giving kudos, want to get reactions and stuff about the shows. But there's no reason for you, if you're in the DMV, to not be there this Friday. And again, that is this Friday, 7:30 is doors, 8 o'clock bell time. Nova Pro Wrestling, Great Expectations, and we have again Mike, the co-founder of Nova Pro, here. And before we get out of here, Mike, did you have any other closing remarks for us?
I just want to thank you guys for having me on, and I'm really excited for this Friday night. Like you said, doors open at 7:30. I know Jamal was missing our bonus action last month, so we got to keep a tight ship so we can get some pre-show matches out there.
I promise you, I was not busting balls on Twitter. I just thought it was odd.
It was. But we're looking at a very full stacked lineup on Friday, with some names not announced, some returning people not announced, that y'all need to be there. Y'all need to be there. Tickets are $20, front row $25. It is our last show before the Commonwealth Cup, which is looking like it could be our biggest show yet. So
many questions about it. Can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah.
So y'all got to make it down to the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department this Friday night. It's also my birthday, so bring me a piece of cake too.
Well,
you heard it.
I have my ticket already. I bought mine at the last show. I will be sitting front row. No, you can't sit next to me. But the Nova Pro Wrestling, Great Expectations, Annandale Fire Department. But on 7128 Columbia Pike in Annandale, Virginia, 8 o'clock bell time. The doors open at 7. It's just so many great matches, including Veda Scott versus Rachel Ellerin, sponsored by this Big Go Belt Wrestling Podcast. Sanjay Dutt versus Trevor Lee and others. You don't want to miss it. $25 for front row. Don't sit next to me, and $20 for the general admission tickets that are on sale right now.
That's right. You heard it, Mike. Thanks again for coming on, letting us be part of the experience, and again, kudos to you for putting on one hell of a 2016. And I just, like you said, Great Expectations couldn't fit much better for a name for this Friday show. So. We're on board, and if you ever need anything from the Big Go Belt Wrestling Podcast, we are here for you.
Thanks, guys. Happy to be here. Happy to have you guys on board as sponsors too.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Signing out. See y'all there this Friday.
Yep.